Let's go, girls.
Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe.
It's women talking football. WTF. Not to be confused with WFT. We are the women, a pair of producers for Dave Campbell's Texas Football and Dave Campbell's Texan Live. I'm the executive producer, Ashley Pickle. Sitting over there, turning the knobs, making us sound good is our associate producer, Miss Mallory Hartley. Hi, Malpel.
Hey. How's it going?
How's the weather over there? We're like 5 feet apart.
It's a little toasty in here today.
It is. I kind of like it though.
I know you do like it a lot.
So true story. You're gonna see how the inner workings. If you're listening to us on a podcast version, we have a little TV next to us that we put the logo on, and literally Mallory starts rolling the intro, and then she goes, "Oh, the screen," and I got that up literally right as she was fading into it. So there you go. Now we're all set. We're ready to go, and we are amped up. We're pumped up. It is week 11. Week 11 of the Texas high school football season. That is the last week of the regular season. That means playoffs are next week.
Dude, people. I can't even believe it. It just feels like we just started the season a couple weeks ago. I think it's just we've been so busy with Texan Live stuff and even editorial stuff on the Dave Campbell's side. I just think it's gone by so fast because we've just been so dang busy. To me, this part of the year goes by so much quicker than the off season, because there are parts in the off season where I'm just sitting there watching the time because I had 2 things to do that day. So honestly, I prefer this way because the time goes by quickly. You're doing things that you actually like to do rather than just sitting there watching the clock slowly tick by in the off season. Yeah,
and the crazy thing, so I think a lot of, and we'll just sit here and talk for a minute because I feel like we both kind of need to just talk a little bit. Have women talking football. That's what we do. We talk, right? So the crazy, here, I'll tell you what we're doing today and then we'll talk. But it's Women Talking Football. We're every Thursday at 2 o'clock. Actually live this time. We haven't been live in a couple weeks. They've been recorded because we've been all over the place. But this is episode number 17 and we are going to the Super Centex. So we'll start off with the Huddle Up, which will be part of us just kind of talking and venting. We'll tell you what games that you have to watch this week on Texan Live, and boy, has it been a doozy. War on weather is in full effect. Games all over the place getting moved around, so we'll kind of get you caught up to speed on what you can watch on Texan Live tonight. Then we'll bring in one of our favorite humans on this planet, and that is Miss Darby Brown from KWTX. KWTX down there in the Waco area, because we're talking Super Centex, and that is one of our largest regions in the state. We were having a conversation yesterday that it's probably time to start kind of rearranging our regions a little bit again. This one will probably be one that we'll look to rearrange just a hair, but there's 91 teams we have listed in the Super Centex, which is basically us just going, you're all kind of here, we're gonna kind of put you here.
It's kind of like what I think of it as, you've got the body, right? And then you've got the long arms and legs and stuff. So there's bulk of the teams are here, but then you've got teams that are way out here and then way out there and then here, but we still consider them as part of the Super Centex region.
Yeah, Super Centex, first team all gut. It's all encompassing right there, the good heart and soul of the Lone Star State. So we'll talk first team all gut. Before then, though,
can we make that an award?
Dude, I've been saying that for years. So it is funny. One of our mutual friends, I think viewers of TFT definitely know who I'm talking about here, but one of our mutual friends, Goof, Goof and I will do that. There was one time there was an official for I think it was a college game, honestly, but he looked very in shape when you looked at him from the front, and then all of a sudden he had to turn to look at one of his other refs, and he turned, and it was we're getting close to pregnant belly at this point, where it's you look here and he turned, and we were I said, holy cow, that guy's first team all gut, and that it's stuck ever since. That's what we've always ranked it. It's awesome. And there's different there's different levels, because some people have like beer gut that you can tell like they've been working on, like that thing is a unit.
Yeah.
So
well, we gotta
super Centex.
we gotta call it a first team all gut presented by like Whataburger or something.
Exactly.
Like, we gotta get our good friends at Whataburger on that, because how perfect of an award is that?
Exactly.
Like
I love it. That can be
we can present it.
Yeah, that can be like a lineman. Like a lineman thing. First team
all
all
right,
gut.
we are thinking today, man.
Juices
we do that all
are
the time on this show too.
flowing.
We just get ideas while on air. I think we should do this more often.
But the other thing that, going back to our conversation we were having a second ago about, one, the high school football season always flies by, and I think it's because magazine season is dreadful here.
Yes.
You know, like that, the time is so extended out.
Right.
It feels like the months of April to May last 7 years.
Yeah.
And then it's kind of like, okay, you're excited because you're like actually in the off season where, you know, we can take a vacation. We have coaching school. We have 7-on-7. Like that stuff that's really not super like hard for us to cover. It's just fun for us to cover.
Yeah.
And then it's all this built up, it's all this excitement, and then all of a sudden it feels like the off season lasts forever, and we get to football and we're so excited, and then you blink and we're heading into playoffs.
Right.
But the other thing that's crazy for the two of us right now is we're also not you and I are not just working on the football sides of stuff anymore. We're working on the side of playoffs for every single sport. We're helping do some production work with scheduling crews and stuff across the state. It's a whole ordeal that we won't get into on this show, but we've been in, we went through the entirety of water polo playoffs. We are now into the depths of like all the area around volleyball matches are going on. So that was always like, okay, we've got some time until football playoffs. We're still figuring all this stuff out. It's a bunch of new roles. And then hello, here we are. Volleyball's fixing to be in the third round. Football starts this weekend. It's like,
take a breath.
My God.
Yeah. I mean, we were talking about this a couple days ago. We were sitting there having this conversation about Texan Live and stuff like that, and you watched pretty much every single game of the bi-district round for volleyball, right?
Yeah.
And it was a lot, to say the least. It was a lot.
Know, like 70 volleyball games is a lot of volleyball games for one night, for one Tuesday evening.
Literally, for one night. Well, and I was sitting there, and I was like, man, I could have helped you, because I was at another volleyball game helping that setup get along and stuff like that and running the computer. And you were like, man, I didn't even realize that bi-district of volleyball happened like last night, just because we were so focused on getting ready for bi-district round of football that
it sneaks up
volleyball
on you.
just came. Bi-district came and went, and you didn't even realize it.
It was like we helped schedule all of it, but like getting to the point where games were actually being played, it was like, okay, here we go. And now, so we're going to be juggling football and volleyball. So I mean, hey, it's the best time of the year. We are crazy excited, but it does get sad when you look down and realize there's only 6 weeks left till we're crowning champions. You know, as exciting as that is, and like the playoffs are the best time of year, these are the 6 weeks out of the year that we wish would just extend.
Right.
You know,
slow down just a
the
bit.
ones that they're such good games. It's so much fun to cover. Our job is like at the peak. People are amped up. More people start watching the shows because they want to hear this nonsense. And so it's like, we're in that best time of the year, but I wish it would slow down just a little bit.
Like,
so we can enjoy it.
I was going to say, we don't even enjoy it just because it goes by so fast. We blink and we're already at AT&T Stadium. You know, it's crazy.
So it's been fun, but there is one thing that doesn't revolve around high school football that we wanted to show real fast. I came across this. TikToks can be informative too.
They absolutely can.
You heard it here first on WTF. I came across this thing. I was scrolling on TikTok aimlessly at like 1 o'clock in the morning the other night after getting done with work. And I sent it to Mallory, and I was like, dude, we got to show this on WTF. So without further ado, the best TikTok I've run across in a hot minute.
When they doubt me, I just play harder.
First you gotta find me. What's 50 grand to a motherfucker like me? Can you please remind me? Also hard, don't phase. Let's go. For 82 when I look at you like you crazy. Also hard, we ain't even broke they hair. Also hard since we had. It's only right that we be fair. Psycho, I'm liable to go Michael. Take your pick. Jackson, Tyson, Jordan, Game 6. Also hard, got a pro clock. Police that don't tick time.
certified stud.
She's amazing.
Not only was that spectacular Pee Wee football right there.
Oh, it was just prime Pee Wee football.
The strut, like the swag walk.
Uh-huh.
She's got more swag. Like, you take our level of swag and combine it, and then you multiply it by 57, put it on a platter and times it by 400, and we're still not to the amount of swag that she had on that football field.
And then you add a little bit of Kanye West and Jay-Z in the background, and it just makes it that much better. Chef's kiss right there. But yeah, I think her name is Ashley, right? Because it said on the jersey.
On the jersey,
it says
Ashley.
Jersey, it says Ashley, so that even makes it even better.
Oh,
so
it's hyped.
we had to show you guys.
Yeah.
So yes, TikToks can absolutely be informative.
Yeah, I don't know if her first name's Ashley. I don't know if the little chick's last name is Ashley. I don't know. I saw that it said Ashley on the back of the jersey. I was hyped about that.
Yeah.
I was like, I would wear that jersey. It's a sick jersey, cool colors, yellow, blue. But yeah, I saw that and I was like, we got to show this because that's awesome. Like, I loved it. It wasn't only like a lot of times when you see girls get into the football, one, it's not near that young.
No.
But two, a lot of times it's on the offensive side of the ball.
Uh-huh.
That girl likes to tackle people.
Yeah. Like she brought that one dude down behind the line of scrimmage. And I was like, let's freaking go.
Get his ass.
Get his ass.
It was awesome. Anyway, I saw that. No, literally no context needed other than it made me smile. Like, after a really difficult day, it made me smile. And I was like, oh, I gotta send that to Mallory. I like hit that send button. Anyway, yeah, cool things there. But right before we bring on Miss Darby Brown from KWTX, let's go over a ton of schedule shifts. If this is the first time that you're taking a look at the slate of Texas high school football games in Week 11, a lot has changed. We have 230 games being played tonight on Thursday. That is never the case, ever. Everyone saw the signs of we're supposed to have just awful weather, specifically in the DFW. I know it's extending down to Houston, kind of all the way along the I-35, I-45 corridor. So tons of games all across the state being moved, but specifically here in the DFW. I think there might be 2 or 3 DFW games tomorrow, and that's it. So a ton being moved. That definitely affects us on Texan Live. So we have, I think I counted it up earlier, like 25 different games you can watch on Texan Live tonight. So Merry Christmas. Have fun with it. The ones that we are super, super excited about, I think that your headliners at 7:30, Chapel Hill and Kilgore are going at it. District matchup, top 10 matchup in 4A Division 1. 4A Division 1. That will decide the district championship there. So really excited to see that one. We've been excited for that one basically all season.
Yeah, and that game is at 7:30. It's weird to have like a 7:30 game on a Thursday night, but it was 7:30 scheduled for tomorrow night. So yeah, still at 7:30.
And then the other one that I really want to point out, we also have Fort Bend Marshall, and who are they playing? Dayton. That one is very tasty. We also think that one will be for the state or for the district championship if Fort Bend Marshall can win it. If they don't, then it gets a little bit dicey. But this will be a really good measuring stick for a Fort Bend Marshall team that we've honestly seemed measured more this year than we have in years past. But excited about that one. That one's at 7. Jay Dunson on the call there. But the one that I also want to point your eye out to, one of the DFW games that was moved tonight on TexanLive.com, 7 o'clock at Bearcat Stadium. It's Fort Worth Brewer and Aledo. Aledo is a favorite in that game. I don't think that that's a shock to anybody. But if you are looking for a game with exceptional commentary from guys that you don't ever really typically hear on Dave Campbell's Texan Live, that's where you can go. You might know Jared Sandler. He is a play-by-play guy for the Texas Rangers. He fills in. He does the games that Eric Nadell does not do. He's on 103.5 The Fan. He'll be on Valley Sports Southwest every now and then. Great guy.
Awesome.
See him everywhere. You've heard him before. You've seen him before. Jared Sandler will be making his Texan Live play-by-play debut, and joining him on color, former NFL star Anthony Armstrong. He has been a good friend of Dave Campbell's Texas football for quite a while now. His beautiful wife, Jessica, works with us at Valley Sports Southwest, so we know them really well. But yeah, we have a super professional, extraordinaire play-by-play guy hopping on with us, very notable from the DFW, and a former NFL superstar on color commentary. So very, very excited about that one.
Yeah,
good job setting that up, bud.
Thanks. I'll be turning that game on for sure. Maybe cutting a little highlights for you. Who knows? We'll see.
We'll see. little teaser.
I might mess around and cut some teasers for you. I don't know, because that's what I do here.
Mess around and show you some highlights. Then we have a ton of games still tomorrow on the docket. It looks probably about like 20 games. The big headliner tomorrow was a game originally scheduled for Friday. It's staying on Friday, but it's moving up time. Silsbee and Jasper, a huge game down there. Another one that's going to decide a district title. If you haven't seen Draylon Miller, this is your opportunity to see him. So that's probably the highlight. And then we will have 4 games on Saturday, and we've got some volleyball playoffs kind of riddled in there and everything in between. So big week, playoffs are right around the corner. We will be setting the brackets, should be up on Saturday around 10 o'clock p.m. is our goal, but it's the best time of the year. So there you go. Make sure to tune in to TexanLive.com. We'll have you covered with all of that this week and a ton of playoff games right around the corner. We are Women Talking Football. We're here every Thursday at 2. We talk. We're women. We talk, and we talk football. That's the only promo that you need. So enough of me talking. Let's go ahead and hear from our friends at VCR Now. Born and bred in Texas hits a little different, as it should. Texas loves doing business with fellow Texans. VCR Now takes its Texas roots as seriously as its many partnerships with schools and universities around the state. It's also why we're so proud to promote our brand in the pages of the Texas Bible, Dave Campbell's Texas Football, and on the airwaves of Texas Football Today. Driven by producing quality broadcast video, state-of-the-art audio, and LED video scoreboards at affordable prices, VCR Now makes sure to listen to your needs in its athletic department before recommending the next best steps. Building great products is our business, and it's our focus on building meaningful long-term partnerships with our clients that sets us apart. From our 24/7, 365-day help desk, the training lab in our hometown of Red Oak, or our sports marketing business plan that puts money back in the hands of our athletic departments we support, VCR Now is built to last. Reach out to us today at info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Again, that's info@vcrnow.com or by calling 855-GO-VCR-NOW. Good old VCR Now. Also, I think it literally just started raining. Either that or our AC is falling apart. I don't know. Stay tuned. We might have something fall through the ceiling. Regardless, that's not the only exciting thing we have going on right now. We also, Malpal, let's head over to the hotline. We are joined by, as I said earlier, one of our favorite humans in the media, and that is Miss Darby Brown, sports anchor and reporter for KWTX down there in the Waco area. Darby, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Doing well. You excited for some football?
I am. I mean, you guys were talking about it, but it's been a crazy week of trying to figure out what was happening and what the plans were. And so lots of football out here tonight also. So we're excited.
Yeah, a suddenly pretty calm Thursday turned into a chaotic Thursday very quickly. But before we get into all the action that we'll be watching on the field tonight, Darby, we love to have everyone who comes on the show tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? How'd you end up in Waco? And how'd you get here?
Yeah, so, I mean, I was born and raised in Scottsdale. Well, no, born in Michigan, raised in Arizona, so I'll start there. But Arizona is definitely home. And then I went to college out in California, and like a lot of us, sort of put out my reel to wherever I could, and I landed out in Midland, Odessa for my first job. So I was out in West Texas for 2 years, and then one thing led to another, and then for my next job, I came over here to Waco, so kind of followed a boss had taken over at this station. So it worked out nicely for me, kind of a perfect second stop, and I was happy to still be in Texas. And so, yeah, I've been out here for about 3 years, covering high school football in Texas for now 5. So it's gone fast, and it's been a lot of fun. I definitely knew this was what I always wanted to do, so I'm glad that I'm able to do it, and it's been really fun to be out here in Texas, even though I never really thought I would end up out here, but I do like it.
Okay, 2 questions. 1, you went to college in California, didn't know that. Where did you go? And 2, you're clearly very new to six-man football because they don't have that, I don't think, anywhere else. And six-man football is huge in Super Centex region. So what do you think of that?
Yeah, so the first question, I went to Chapman University. It's a smaller school in Orange County. We were, super close to Newport Beach, Disneyland, all the things like that. And I was able to intern at a lot of places in LA, which was really awesome and great experiences. My last internship was at ESPN in LA, which was really cool.
Nice.
And so
That's
anyways,
cool.
I was out there, and then six-man, yeah. So when I started, Balmorhea is out in West Texas, so obviously and Borden County too, which are obviously big programs. So I jumped right into the middle of it, and actually, I think my first year out there, ESPN had just made a documentary about six-man football and all that it was, and so yeah, I mean, it is a lot of fun. I was at first just seeing scores kind of pop up, and I was like, what is this? And then
90 to
and then
7.
I realized, and then I realized what was going on. But I was kind of researching before the year. I'm like, man, what the heck are they doing? And then I realized it was six-man. So very unique. Yeah. And really a lot of fun. I'm actually going to Abbott's game tonight.
Let's
so
go.
Heck
Get
yeah.
my fix. Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll talk a little bit more about Abbott in a minute here, especially because Coach Terry Crawford is one of my favorite humans. But obviously, there's a ton of really good play on the field. There's a ton of really good teams out there in the Super Centex area. But if other people from around the state are going to sit there and when they think of the Super Centex, what would you say is like the number one thing, that the big storyline that should pop into their brains when they hear, oh, football in Super Centex?
I think there's a few right now. I mean, I think if you've paid attention at all the last 5 years, whatever, I mean, Mart is definitely a huge storyline right now with, how much they've won, and then they, had kind of a down year last year. Coach Hoffman retired and then unretired, and now he's back. And so I think that storyline's been interesting to follow, that, just the determination that they have out there to get back and win another state title. And then, I think China Spring's been a really great story as well. I mean, last year they were obviously very good, but they had a new head coach this year and weren't really sure of how things were looking for them, but they've been incredible. So I think those two teams pop out to me. And then just in general, I think there's a lot of really solid programs out here. So it's been fun to cover these teams, and a lot of the teams that have kind of been good and stayed good, but there are some teams that will surprise you. That happened this year as well with University High School. They've been a lot better, and so there's been some surprises this year as well.
Speaking of some of those really big powerhouse teams like China Spring, Lorena, bunch of them, Mart, Abbott, which of those teams, or maybe even all of them, if you think so, have the best shot at making it to AT&T Stadium in December?
I mean, you got to go with China Spring on that. I think they have they have an incredible shot. I don't know, it's hard to give one out of that list. I think Mart has a good shot. I think Abbott has a good shot. So I would say those three. Crawford, as you mentioned as well, if they can stay healthy, I think they have a great shot too. So we could have a handful if we're lucky out here, honestly.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there are certain people that we know we can like mark down, like, oh, we're definitely going to see you at AT&T Stadium, and you're 110% one of them. It's like, we don't know which day, we don't know how many days, but we know for a fact you're going to be there at some point. So I love that you brought up University. They really have. They have shocked a lot of people, quite a few really good wins. I know that that win over Pflugerville Connolly, and really it was the one over Leander Rouse that kind of set the rest of us going, oh, hey, there's something really special going on down there. I know that playoffs are literally right around the corner, and we'll start to get those matchups here soon, but when you take a look at any teams that aren't those notorious China Springs, they aren't the Lorenas, anything like that, do you think that there's anyone that can have, maybe not an AT&T run, but a deep playoff run that might surprise people?
I think Cameron that district is loaded, and I think Cameron's been very good. I mean, they lost to Franklin, but Franklin, if you look at them at being kind of the top front runner, that's the only district loss they have. So I mean, they beat Lorena. They've been pretty impressive to me. They put up a lot of points. So I think Cameron, if they're positioned well, there's a lot of that goes on. I think they could make a pretty big run. and kind of fly under the radar a little bit, just because they are in such a tough district that people don't, you're not focused on them as much. But they've been impressive to me this year.
Yeah, you see the 3 seed and go, they can't make that much noise. And it's like, yeah, but hang on a second.
Literally. There are, man, so we do a players to watch segment on this show about each region. And it took me a while to pick just 6 or 7 of the most talented players in the Super Centex region. It just seems like all of these different players can just be put in so many different places on the field. But when you take a look at the Super Centex region as a whole, which top players do you think people should be paying attention to the most?
Yeah, I mean, I think a guy from Lorena, Jaden Porter, he always impresses me, which I know Lorena's had sort of a not down year, but, maybe they didn't get Franklin and, they're maybe not quite the team they were last year, but he is just such a playmaker. China Springs quarterback this year as well. He's Cash McCollum. He has been very impressive too. And he's a guy that can, hurt you in the air and on the ground. He transferred in, which was good for, I'm sure all the China Spring people have been happy with him, but especially after losing Major Bowden. So he's been good. And I mean, there's really a lot of guys. Rashawn Sanford from Harker Heights, he's about to play at Houston next year. He's been incredible and just such a playmaker at the 6A level. And then Jelani McDonald is one of my favorites too, and he plays for Connolly, and they've had a good year. They could go undefeated in district tonight to cap off their district season, but they've had a great year, and he had a little bit of an injury problem, but he's been healthy and he's been very good. And I know he was committed to Oklahoma State, but he recently opened his commitment up again, so that's been kind of interesting. But he just, every time I watch him play, I'm impressed by. He just kind of can do whatever he wants out there. He's obviously not a true quarterback as far as at the college level, but he's such an athlete that's been impressive too. So yeah, there's a lot of guys on a lot of different teams. Pretty much every team you look at, I feel like there's somebody there. There's a guy on every group. So it's been fun.
I know that we're probably past this point of the year, but you've been down in Waco for a couple of years now, and so you've become familiar with those like really heated rivalries, and there's a couple of really good ones. And honestly, I mean, heck, at this point there's a couple of new ones that are really fun, like China Spring and all of them. But is there a specific rivalry game, or maybe not even a rivalry game, but is there a specific game that happens every year that you get most excited to, like, hey, I'm gonna go cover that one?
Yeah, I love the Battle of the Bell, even though I know it's been a little bit lopsided recently with Cameron Yo and Rockdale, but I love that game. I went and covered it the first year I was here, and I haven't been able to get back since because it's just kind of far from our station and, logistics in that way, but it is a really fun one, and they get really hyped for that. And then, like you said, that there's been some new rivalries. I mean, Crawford and Marlin have become rivals because of the way they've been playing recently, which has been fun. And so there's a handful of them, but the Battle of the Bell definitely sticks out just because I think you can just really tell. I love high school football because I love how much the communities care, and you can just tell that no matter really how their team is, they're going to show up for that one. And, it means a lot to them. So that's been good. And also La Vega and Connolly, that one's always fun. And that one, Connolly got a win this year, which was pretty big for them. So that one's always fun too. And Waco people just love that game every year. I've been to that one.
Yeah, that's one of them that gets chirpy both on the field and off the field. So that's always kind of a fun, more hostile environment.
And there's always like such good talent in those two teams
too.
Yeah. Many really star power players. It's always so fun to watch.
Absolutely. Well, Darby, before we let you go here, there's one more question we always like to ask people, and I'm actually very interested to hear your answer on this. Waco definitely, like, just talking Waco, not talking the rest of Super Centex, but Waco always gets a bad rap for being kind of like chain restaurant food hell almost. It's a lot of the normal chain restaurants that you'll see. It's a college town, but you've been there for a couple of years. If you were going to tell someone to eat at like a really good spot in Waco, where would your suggestion be?
I feel like it has to be George's because George's is just Waco's, famous place. So, I mean, it is so good, and anyone ever I take there loves it, and it's kind of the must-see here in Waco. But another one is Milo. It's a new one. I'll give that one too, to not be so traditional. But either of those, you can't go wrong. And you just got to know where to go in Waco. I'll say that. You got to know where
Yeah.
to go in Waco. So if you guys are ever around, let me know. So I'll let you know. But you got to get away from the chains and stuff. You're right. You got to dig a little bit. But there's a good food scene out here if you know where you're going. So
we went to the I can't say that we had like the best restaurant experience, but we did go to Putters the last time we were there, that little indoor mini golf arcade thing.
yeah.
That was a blast.
You know, and what we did do was we ordered food to that place because they don't sell food there. We ordered it from the IHOP because they've got a little like hidden restaurant in there, and it was like a grilled
baller
cheese.
move, you guys.
It was
That's
so
funny.
good. It was so good, though. I don't remember what it was
But
called.
we'll have
it
you
was
hook
great.
us up next time.
Yeah, I know. Don't
I
trust
hop
us.
at Putters. That is quite a story. Wow.
If
I love
nothing
that,
else, we stay on brand. WTF is the name of the show. She is Darby Brand, sports anchor and reporter there at KWTX. Darby, thank you so much for hopping on, and I can basically guarantee we'll probably see you at some point in AT&T Stadium.
I agree. Thank you guys so much. I love the show. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, girl.
There she goes. Darby Brown with KWTX, a sweetheart of a human being. Waco is
She's
definitely lucky to have her down there. Because that's the cool thing, too, is Waco does. Waco catches a lot of really bad rap. And I think a part of that is the chain hell restaurant. You know, people will say, there's not like as much of an identity. The main issue as of late has been the traffic. 35 is a nightmare.
Right. And I think it does help, too, that the Baylor football program and the basketball program have just reached a new level, not only in the Big 12, but just in the grand scheme of things.
Nationally.
Nationally. I think that's helped a lot, too, with it upping the opinions of Waco.
Well, and it was funny because I'll call my own foul. I always had that opinion of Waco because anytime I was in Waco, I was sitting there in traffic.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
And so it made you. But then we went to Putters. We went on that side over there by the courthouse and stuff. And I was like,
It's
okay,
really cool.
There's some charm here. Like Darby said, you got to look for it a little bit, but there's some really, really good charm there.
Don't knock it till you try it.
And yeah, McLean Stadium, exceptional.
so
I know a lot
beautiful.
of people that have lived in Waco for a really long time, and they absolutely love it. So I think you have to get past the mess of 35.
The traffic.
And then Waco is really, really a good little town. But Darby, I know, is a constant supporter of anywhere around the Super Centex and a place to call home and everything. So yeah, very much appreciate her hopping on and taking the time. And like I said, I would be literally shocked if we do not see her at Jerry World in December.
No, not at all.
All right, we are Women Talking Football, and with Women Talking Football means that it's time to break down another region. We just heard Darby's take on the Super Centex region. Like we said, this one is a big one. I believe it was 91 different teams. I mean, it's encompassing. I mean, really, really encompassing.
Yeah, it took me a while to organize the regions on Monday, so I can tell you from experience there's a lot of them.
I was just going to say, yes, thank you for organizing those. I was going to see if I could give you kind of a, hold on for a second.
And there's a ton of ranked teams too. I mean, like, I didn't count up how many. I guess I could do that right now, but I mean, like, if I had to guess, I would say about 15 to 20% of the region is ranked. If that's a good guess, maybe a
with
little
that
less
sample
than that.
size, it's just hard because there's so many of them. But yeah, I mean, we're stretching here from in 1A Division 2 from like Richland Springs to Cherokee. I mean, you've got Blum in 1A Division 1, then you've kind of got the Mart Chilton area, then you have the like we include San Saba and Gulfweight, which is like really close over there by Llano. So I mean, we're talking like all the way kind of south down there. You've got Rice, which is, I mean, all the way up 35, and then you've got the Lorena, Cameron Yo, Little River area, kind of in that other side pocket. Then you have all the actual Waco. We have Lampasas included in here, all the way up to Corsicana, Lake Belton, and then Temple and stuff. So I mean, you're really taking, if you're going down that stretch of 35, you're taking everything basically from Corsicana all the way down to Lampasas is probably like one of the southernmost points, all the way over to Gulfweight and San Saba, and then all the way over to Killeen and everything. So I mean, it's huge, everything. But without further ado, like you said, we have a ton of ranked teams. So let's get into that. We'll start off with the highest classification that has a ranked team in it, and that is the number 1 China Spring Cougars. We will get into that. Do not put an S on it. There is no S. It's just China Spring. If you say China Springs,
they're going to yell at you.
They're going to come get you.
The whole high school community will yell at you.
Yes, that whole town will. So they're in 4A Division 1. We'll talk about them in a little bit. 3A Division 1, the reigning 3A Division 2 state champions, the Lorena Leopards. Were they 3A
Division 1?
Yeah, they were 3A Division 1. That's right. Because Franklin moved up and is now in their same district. So the reigning 3A Division 1 state champs in Coach Ray Biles and his Lorena Leopards. Then you have number 10, West, Texas, not West Texas, the region. If you
I wonder how many people get confused with that.
Oh, a ton. And if you missed it, they actually, at the beginning of the year, they tweeted out one of their jerseys. On the front of it just says the comma. Amazing.
That's amazing.
Absolutely amazing. It's in like cursive letters. It says the comma. And then 2A Division 1 Crawford coming in at number 3. Moving on past that, down to our 2A Division 2 teams. Darby mentioned them, the number 1 ranked Mart Panthers, back after a little bit of what seemed like a hiatus last year. Obviously, as Darby mentioned, there was all the stuff that went on with Coach Hoffman retiring and then deciding to come back, and now Mart is looking like the machine that they have been in years past. You'll remember they went 3 out of 4 state championships when Roger Freeman was there, and they are back operating. They meet up with bunkmate number 5, Chilton. Then down to the 6-man ranks we go, where Darby will be tonight. The number 1 ranked Abbott Panthers. Shout out Coach Terry Crawford, a loyal viewer of Texas football today. His squad is rolling and has a good test tonight to secure that district championship. I think their district championship is already secured, but this would put a cap on an undefeated regular season, I believe. Number 3, Jonesboro, and number 9, Gordon. But we're not done. This really is 6-man territory down here. Other than West Texas, this is probably the conglomerate that has some of the most 1A teams. Number 2, ranked Cherokee. We'll talk about them a little later on. I have seen this team play in person this year, and I've got some takes. And then
that's right. I forgot you went there.
I did. We saw their game against Bluffdale.
That's right.
There's my flex of the afternoon. But then the number 5 ranked Richland Springs Coyotes, a perennial powerhouse down there. So there are the ranked teams in the Super Centex region, a ton of them. Honestly, we saved this for pretty close to last out of our regional breakdown because we knew there were going to be so many teams. And if you're a big school snob, you might not realize that because you're looking at the teams in, the 5A, the 6A ranks, and you're saying, some of the Waco schools, some of this, the Colleens, the Temples, Temple's been doing pretty good this year, but not up to their normal standard, I would say. So you've got those and you're going, nah, there's nothing. And then you get into the meat and potatoes of it, that 4A, the 3A, that's prime right there. So without further ado, we go over to the concierge of vibes, Miss Mallory Harley. She just shakes her head at me to break down our players to watch.
All right. Like I asked Darby earlier, it just seems like this region has and I say this every week, every region has a lot of talent. But to me, this seems like a region that has a lot of talent that can be utilized on different parts of the field in the same player. So let's go ahead and get into it. We start off strong with Temple wide receiver and defensive back Mikkel Harrison Pilot. Absolutely no strangers to the headline AP. He once held them. I don't know if he still does.
I think he still does.
He still does. Still holds the most D1 offers of any athlete in Texas. That's over 40 offers, which is just blows my mind. He's still uncommitted, but I think experts say he's actually trending towards TCU. He was trending towards Texas for a while, but just recently, I think, honestly, this week or last week, I think Nick Harris came out and said on Rivals, like, hey, I think he's trending more towards TCU.
It's crazy what happens when you're leading the Big 12.
I know, right? He said, oh, I want to go there.
Yeah.
But he's actually being recruited as a safety. Honestly, no surprise there. He's just an absolute machine that plays both ways at a 6A program, which is honestly, to me, unheard of. He's the number 12 athlete in the country, number 30 overall prospect in the state of Texas. Last season, he recorded 20 tackles and 1 interception, and on the offensive side of the ball, he caught 29 passes for 484 yards and 6 touchdowns, and also recorded 37 carries off 168 yards and 8 rushing touchdowns. He will be a key component in whether this Temple team goes deep or not into the playoffs.
Yeah, Temple is actually, they're kind of littered with like really good prospects like this. I don't know if they're gelling exactly how
Reminds
they
me of
want
Texas.
to. Yeah.
It's a Texas team.
Yeah.
University of Texas team.
Yeah, you're not wrong. But yeah, Mikal has been the one that's all eyes have been on him, and I think that honestly, I think he's helped bring eyes to a couple of his other teammates.
Yes.
I do think that's part of the reason why they have so many really good athletes out there right now. But no, I mean, this will be one that when he makes his recruitment, all of our eyes are going, hey, where did he say he was going? You know,
all eyes are going to be on him for sure. Let's move down to Lake Belton defensive back Javion Wilcox. He does play both sides of the ball. He's being recruited, I believe, to play as a defensive back, but he does chip in at wide receiver. He's committed to play, no shock, TCU.
There you go.
As a safety. Last season, he emerged as a defensive star, recording 96 total tackles, 43 solo tackles, and 1 forced fumble. And get this, his Twitter name, he's got the word boom in it, which is a perfect description. I saw that and I was like, man, he's smart.
Boom.
He knows marketing well, let me tell you. But he just describes him perfectly. When the defense is in need of an explosive play, Wilcox is just always seems to be there to make that big play. He's also stepped up in a big way on the offensive side of the ball this season. In Lake Belton's overtime game against Red Oak this season, Wilcox caught the game-winning touchdown. It was a beautiful pass, beautiful catch by Wilcox. So definitely a guy that knows how to step up in big-time game situations and lead his team to the victory.
Yeah, he was a big surprise here because you'll remember Lake Belton is a first-year varsity program who we knew was going to always said, hey, I think that when they join the UIL, like they're going to make an immediate impact. Javion was a big reason for that, but this is a big get for TCU because the other team in Texas that was really, really going after Tech had their name in the hat, but I think the decision really came between them and Baylor.
Yep.
So big miss from Baylor, honestly, not being able to lock down that homegrown talent right there. Those are the people that they need to be landing on. But
yes.
A huge get from TCU because you know how TCU and Baylor think about one another. So that was a really big get for Sonny Dykes and the Horned Frogs.
Yep. Let's keep it rolling with China Spring athlete Trey Hafford. This guy is just a blast to watch, and he just gets at it wherever he lines up on the field. He was a big part of the state championship run that China Spring squad had last season, and I believe he was the defensive MVP in the game.
I think that's right. I know he got one of them. I can't remember which one it was.
Yeah, I believe he was the defensive MVP. This dude has a really, really high vertical. When you're watching his Huddle tape, he just gets so high off the ground. Like, it's absurd. He's got a super high vertical, which to me I think translates really well to that wide receiver and defensive back position. He can jump to the ball and make insane plays when he is needed to. He's speedy. He's got great size, standing at 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's just hard to bring down and gives whoever he's up against a lot of trouble. He's a defensive star being utilized as a utility player on the offensive side of the ball as well. And I think that he could definitely help guide this China Spring team back to AT&T Stadium in December.
Trey is exactly what you were when you were talking at the start of this segment about there being players that, you know, you say every region has players, and they do. I think Trey Hafford is exactly what you're looking at from the Super Centex because you're not necessarily talking about the 5 stars. Mm-hmm. You're talking about these underrated players that the G5 teams need to have someone with their pulse on what Super Centex players are doing, because this is a thing that a Conference USA team, a Sun Belt team, like would be getting a huge get that might not be up to that Power 5 level.
I don't believe that he is committed anywhere.
He's
I know
not.
He's being recruited, but I don't
Lamar,
think...
Houston, Tulane, and UTSA seem to be the ones that he has on his list right now.
Okay. Oh, Tulane would be a get. Anyways, I'm sure that'll change if they even make a deep run in the playoffs. Let's move on down to Lorena wide receiver Jadon Porter. I think Darby mentioned him a little bit. He's pretty dang good. And guess what? He's only a junior. He graduates in the class of 2024. An emerging junior. He's one heck of an athlete and already verbally committed to play for the Baylor Bears. Of course, that could change because he's just verbally committed and still has another year. But definitely one of the top prospects in the class of 2024 in Texas. As a sophomore, he recorded 198 rushing yards off 16 carries, 3 touchdowns, and caught 58 passes for 1,265 yards and 13 touchdowns. Of course, he helped lead Lorena to a state championship last year, and he's just as explosive as they come. Has an insane athletic ability, great size, standing at 6'1", 185 pounds, and he just makes key plays, like hurdling defenders. Like one of his first highlights that you see pop up on his Huddle is literally hurdling a probably 6-foot defender. I mean, he's just
wild,
athletically insane.
Yeah, he's a legitimate athlete, and I love too when you take a look at his player profile on 24/7, and it says Baylor. It says he's recruited by Sean Bell. If you're not familiar, there is what I said. What they missed out on JV and Wilcox is what they got in Jaden Porter, because Sean Bell, obviously the brother of Brian Bell, obviously the sons of former Coach Bell at China Spring. You know, it's all this is the kind of player that the Bells. This is the kind of spot that Baylor has a really good pulse on. So that if he can stay committed to Baylor, that's a huge get for the Bears.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hard too. I mean, especially because he's only a junior. Yeah. I mean, he's going to get a lot of looks just because this Lorena team is really good this year. He's going to get more looks for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if they could keep him there.
Yeah, especially with Austin Novosad on the horizon there for the Bears. If they can keep them there, then they're doing a good job.
Yep. Let's move on down to Waco Connolly athlete Jelani McDonald, also no stranger to the headlines. He's a true two-way athlete, playing both at quarterback and defensive back this season for the Cadets, and he's rated the 10th best athlete in Texas. He's a playmaker on both sides of the field, just making big plays with his legs, arms, and hands. Oh, and he's a threat at the wide receiver position, too. So
Because why not?
Because why not? You're just good at the game of football, dude. We get it. Against Mejia, McDonald just went off. He threw for 2 touchdowns, ran for another touchdown, returned a kickoff for a score, and also logged an interception return for a touchdown. A little pick six action for you there. Put him anywhere on the field, and he is just bound to make big-time plays. Now, Darby did mention this earlier. He was formally committed to Oklahoma State, but he recently opened his recruitment back up. I think he's got his eyes on the University of Texas, but we'll have to see in the coming days. Let's keep moving. Let's keep the train rolling. Crawford athlete Breck Chambers. He does it all, man, and for a big he's a big reason why this Crawford team is undefeated this season. He acts as a utility player on the offensive side, lining up at running back and wide receiver. He also takes part in special teams. He's the punter and the kicker. Talk about 1A football, man.
Wild.
He's just an explosive playmaker, too. And to prove that, last week against Riesel, I believe that's how you pronounce it, Chambers had 124 yards and 3 scores on just 4 carries in the first quarter. You can't get much more explosive than that, man. I mean, it's wild. Also, I did mention he's the kicker. So he'll score the touchdown, right? Oh, but he's going to stay on the field because he's got to kick his extra point.
Insane.
Yeah.
Why not, man? Go off.
Yeah, just go off, man. He's a fun athlete to watch, and he could definitely take Crawford all the way. All right, let's round it all out with Teague. Formerly, he was at Marlin,
yeah.
I believe. Okay. Darian Gillette, he's our 2A cover boy.
He was. I wrote that.
Yeah.
I think. I can't remember.
You wrote one of them.
I'm pretty sure I wrote that one.
Yeah. 2A cover boy, really good. He's got an asterisk by his name because he has not, unfortunately, played this season due to an injury. Like I said, he's a transfer from Marlin and put up huge numbers when he was there. 125 total tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, 3 sacks, 3 forced fumble, 1 fumble recovery, and 2 interceptions as a junior. He's committed to play at Texas next season as a linebacker. And on the offensive side, he was just as explosive at the wide receiver spot. 62 62 catches for 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns. Man, it's a shame, though, that he was injured this season because I can only imagine what his stats would have looked like with a whole offseason under his belt. I bet they would have been just as good, or probably even better.
Oh yeah, he was a blast. I got to cover Marlin a little bit last year because I was doing state sideline reporting for the 2A Division I state championship.
Oh, that's right,
so
yeah.
I saw their game against Hawley last year in the state semifinals, and yeah, I mean he was just obviously that wasn't the best game for Marlin, but he was so much fun to watch. He really was. We were audibly like disappointed when we heard the news in the preseason that he had messed up his knee.
Yeah. Really sad. But there you go. There are your players to watch in the Super Centex region. Lots of really, really fun and explosive talent to watch. So if you ever get the chance to go down there and just watch some dudes play some ball, do it because it's fun. Promise.
Guys being dudes. What's better than that?
Dudes, man. What can you want more?
So there you go. There is our players to watch as we transition over to our last segment. Our favorite segment, Stonks.
Always try your hand of stonks.
The stonks do be stonking.
The stonks be stonking.
Sometimes they just be stonking. We'll start off with the number 1 team in 4A Division 1 in the China Spring Cougars under first-year head coach Tyler Beatty. They have looked exceptional. If you remember, they did go and they were the reigning 4A Division 2 state champs last year, taking down Gilmer, and then they bumped up to 4A Division 1 this year. So we were very excited, not only for them to move up and to see what they did there, but they ended up in the exact same district as the reigning 4A Division 1 state champs in the Stephenville Yellow Jackets. So week 9 was when we were super excited for that one. I mean, the moment realignment came out, we had that one circled, and they did it. They made it past their biggest test in Stephenville. They won 38-36. They're on a bye week this week. They had that dreaded week 11 bye week, depending on how you want to look at it. Some people, if you can go through and take care of business, they get excited because then they have the week off before playoffs. So not playing anyone this week, but they did it. They played Lorena in the first game of the season, got that dub. They played a pretty good Melissa team and got that dub. Their only loss of the season coming from Dallas Parish Episcopal, which is a private school team, the number 1 ranked private school team in our DCTF Associated Press rankings, who has been just whopping fools.
Yeah.
I mean, their Parish Episcopal's really good. They actually have a really, really good game scheduled for tonight or tomorrow night, I believe, against Plano Prestonwood. So
nice.
If you're into that kind of thing, it's a really, really good game. But here's the deal. You take a look at 4A Division 1 and you say, where are the stonks? The stonks are extremely high for China Spring. Here's where I get worried. I think that they've already claimed the district championship in 5-4A Division 1. So check number 1. Good to go. If you want to take a look at the rest of Region 2,
it's a tough region, man.
It is. I mean, you have, and most of it, honest to God, most of it comes from their own district. The other side of it that I think would be able to cause a little bit of issues, if you look at District 8, you have Paris, Kaufman, and Anna. I think if you're going to ask me right now, and I don't know, I'd need to go back and look. We don't have time to do that right now, but if I don't know if Anna has, and Sulphur Springs even. I mean, heck, I don't know if I think Anna has solidified the district championships there. If they haven't, I think they are today.
Okay, I know for a fact that Anna and Sulphur Springs play today.
Okay.
So
well,
that's a
big game, so let's look this up.
That should, solidify the district championship. So I believe that they're playing tonight, I would say.
Let's see. I said we didn't have time to look it up, but we're making time to look it up real fast.
Yeah, because we talked about East Texas last week, and in Sulphur Springs was on.
Yeah, because Anna did end up beating Paris last week. So
that's right.
Yeah, if Anna can beat Sulphur Springs tonight, they are favored by 18 in that one, according to the Dave Campbell's computer. If Anna can do that, then they're going to solidify their district championship with 10-0 season, 5-0 there. It does get a little bit of a cluster there between Sulphur Springs and Kaufman to decide that second part of the district. But anyway, going back to China Springs' path to the playoff, not only would they end up playing one of those teams at some point, those 3 teams are probably the toughest out of District 8, but then you go back and you say, okay, if they're able to make it that far, in their same district, you have Stephenville is probably going to hit the 4th spot actually in that district because Waco, La Vega, China Spring, Alvarado beat Stephenville last week in a shocker. It seemed like Stephenville let that China Spring loss age like moldy milk, and it ended up beating them twice. So Stephenville actually clinching the 4th seed in that district. So they'll probably get matched up with a tougher opponent there. But Region 2 is not light in 4A Division 1. No. It is not light. But if you can get past that, I think that they would be favored over anyone in Region 1. I think so too. I mean,
the real test here is going to be, can you get past Region 2? Mm-hmm. I mean, if they can make it to the regional finals, I think they should be. In
the regional finals, I mean, heck, they could face Stephenville again in the regional finals, depending on what that does. So yeah, if you make it to the state semifinal, I would put anyone out of Region 2 above Region 1 in that. But I mean, Brownwood can make some noise. Maybe, I don't know. That's really it.
It's hard. Yeah.
Dumas is not looking terrible. No. So I think that China Spring has a tough playoff road ahead of them, but I think that they have proved that they are the best team in that region thus far. It really just has to do with, can they stay healthy? Can they keep it up? If you do have to face Stephenville in the regional final, can you face a good team twice? So interested. I would say stonks are up on China Spring. Yep. They haven't done anything to make me think that they're not the number 1 team in 4A Division 1, but I am saying that I don't think it's going to be as light as a path as they had last year in 4A Division 2 to get to Jerry World, but they are operating right now.
Stonks are up for sure.
Moving on now to 3A Division 1. We're going to go to the reigning state champions in Lorena. So Darby said it, and I'm going to agree with it. It's a little bit of a down year, and it's funny to say that because they're the number 8th ranked team in the state. But compared to what they did last year Lorena was on, hellfire, just going for it.
I want to know, I meant to go back and look what their closest game was because I don't even think they had a single close game last season. They just murked everybody in their path. Mm-hmm. Like, fire. Like, they cleared the grass out. Like, there was nothing left.
Like, fire.
It was crazy.
But it is crazy because District 11 is the toughest district.
Yes.
In that, I want to say, honestly, well, District 12 might have something to say about it, to be honest with you, who they would be paired up against. Because when you take a look, they're in Region 3. They've made it through Cameron Yo, Franklin, Little River Academy. Did they beat Franklin?
I don't think they beat Franklin.
They did not. So they lost to Franklin and they lost to Cameron Yo. That right there was
China
the
Spring,
issue.
But also,
they lost to China Spring. That's a pretty
weird
big
classification.
Yeah, real big classification difference there. And you're going up against the reigning state champs there. The thing that we were worried about for Lorena in the first place was the fact that they had Franklin in their district. Franklin got moved up from 3A Division 2 up to 3A Division 1. They played week 9 as well. So we had 2 battles of reigning state champions going at it in district matchups. Mm-hmm. So that poses the issue. If you wanted to pair Lorena and Franklin up again, I think Franklin is hands down the best team that we're seeing right now, and that they would have a very, very tough time getting past them. But even moving further than that, when you take a look at what District 12 is doing right now, Columbus has looked good, Hallettsville has been on a tear as of recent, and Hitchcock has been really, really good. They dropped one last week to Hallettsville, but that decided that state or district championship. I keep saying state championship. I guess I have playoffs on mine, and I'm so excited. But I don't think right now, sports gun to my head, I don't know. I don't think Lorena is going to be able to make it back. They can. No. They have the playmakers to be able to do it. They're the number 8th ranked team for a reason. But I think trying to go up against those things again, I know it's hard to beat a tough team twice, but if they did end up seeing Franklin again, I think that Franklin is showing that they're the better team right now. I don't think that the Lorena defense has what they need to stop that Franklin rushing attack.
Yeah, I think Franklin looks like the Lorena team from last year.
Yes.
They're just murking people left and right here, and I think that, you're totally right. If these two teams have to match up again, I think Franklin has the upper hand. I agree. Really do.
Yeah, I think we saw just too much out of Franklin when they played the first time that I just don't know if they could do it. So compared to last year, I'm going to say Stonk's a little bit down on Lorena. But to round it all out super quick, did want to talk about the number 2 ranked team in 1A Division II, the Cherokee Indians. Got to see them play against Bluffdale, and this team is legit. They are actually legit. First off, they have a kicker that could go play for Angelo State right now if they wanted to. So that's a threat that a lot of 6-man teams don't have. He's a big kid. He can help on other sides of the ball, but they have a couple of really, really crucial playmakers that obviously are playing both ways, but specifically on the offensive side of the ball, I think they have a quarterback that can take the deep shots when you need them to. Their rushing abilities there, and their defense is really good at forcing turnovers. So I'll be very interested to see what Cherokee can do and what kind of noise they can make. But I think that Stonks are up for Cherokee, in a team that maybe hasn't been in our verbiage a whole lot the past couple of years, that can really shock some people in the 6-man rings.
Yeah, they're also murking people right now too. I mean, none of their games on their district schedule or in the regular season have been even remotely close. They're favored by 104 to the team that they play tonight.
Yeah, and please let me remind you that you can 45 people in. It's literally not possible to beat someone by 104 points in a 6-man game.
I don't think I've ever seen a spread that high before. 104, that's a lot.
The computer loves Cherokee because of how dominant they have been. You absolutely loves them. So Stonks way up for Cherokee. Interested to see how they're able to continue on. Obviously, when you get to that level, injury is everything. They've got to keep their playmakers healthy, or else it's done at that point.
Because at that point, you're losing your wide receiver and your defensive back and probably your quarterback.
Exactly. I was thinking,
and your punter.
He just throws it to himself. You don't know. So there it is. Super Centex. A ton to break down. We didn't even get into a bunch of the teams that we would have loved to, but we are on a little bit of a time limit here. It's been an hour. Women just keep talking.
We could keep talking for another hour.
Oh yeah, I could talk Super Centex all day. I was excited to do this one. So. There you go. Happy week 11 of the Texas high school football season. Folks, when we're back next week, we're heading on into playoff talk. To give you, I guess real fast, we can kind of tease this a little bit. We are going to continue to break down regions until the week before state championship week, state semifinal week. We're going to do a WTF state semifinal extravaganza, party, bonanza, bonkers fun. That's what we're going to do. And we're going to cut that clip and open that show with this clip. But we're super excited. So we'll keep going regions. We've got DFW. We've got Houston left. I mean, we've got some big powerhouse football left to talk. So please continue to watch. If you can't watch live, you can download it on any podcast vendor that you would like. We appreciate you taking the time to download it and listening to Women Talking Football. So you got anything else?
Yeah, just real quick. Make sure that you are clicking on the right link if you see a Texan Live link, because we're having so many issues with that. Make sure the only real link if it's coming from our verified Texan Live account, because there's scammers commenting on our videos and stuff, our live shows.
It's
just make sure it is that. Make sure you're looking very closely at which link you're clicking, because you could have a bug on your computer after that.
And honestly, I always the best thing that I like to tell people to do is if you run across a tweet that has a game that you're very interested in, just go to texanlive.com and search the name of the school. The game will pop up. If it's a legitimate thing, you can guarantee that you're not going to click on a bad link, because if you see a graphic say, oh, I really want to watch that game, just go to texanlive.com and search it, and it'll pop up. All the games are on the homepage, but if you don't feel like scrolling, that's the easiest way to do it. So, good job. Good reminder, because it's spam season.
It's spam season. Don't wreck your computer.
All right, well, we're going to get started on playoff craziness. Appreciate everybody tuning in. This time next week, we'll be in the best part of the year, baby. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next Thursday on Women Talking Football.